Okay, this is quite a disturbing looking picture. It kind of looks like an army of the dead ready to go with somebody out in front of it here. Looks like something out of Lord of the Rings and something strange, and I'll tell you why is because it's a picture associated with Hannibal Barca and his great trek through the Alps and to take on the Romans. And they think they have found the very first battle and where that was found at. So we're going to look into this a little bit more. New site identified for battlefield of Hannibal's first great victory. Archaeologists in Spain have discovered the lost battlefield where legendary Hannibal Barca won his first great victory before his march upon Rome. Hannibal was the famous Carthaginian statesman and general who commanded Carthage's main army against Rome during the Second Punic War in 218 to 201 BC, rolling backwards because it's in BC, but the whereabouts of the famous battle which occurred in 220 BC, 2 years before Hannibal famously crossed those Alps and marched on Rome, has always perplexed archaeologists and military historians until now. So, tracking the legendary lost battlefield. Let me grab this. Sorry, guys. Hannibal is best remembered as the Carthaginian commander who marched 40 elephants across the Alps to crush Rome, and according to a new report from Caracadrebe's archaeological team, the National Museum of Roman Art and the Spanish Geological Mining Institute details how 2 years prior to this 27-year-old led an army of 25,000 men and 40 war elephants against a 100,000 strong horde of Spanish tribesmen. Yeah, he was just in his 20s whenever it happened here, and there are a lot of depictions of him, and we'll look at those here at the end of this perhaps. This is meant to be him right there in the middle of that, and what we're looking at here are elephants trying to cross the Alps through here, and you can see this one is fallen off. I've heard before, but I don't know, it may just be a story, that what happened was some little mouse rodent that lives up in the mountains and everything ran across in front of one of the elephants, and it brayed up and freaked out and slipped off the edge of the pass, and those people and the elephant fell to their death. And they said that the only reason it was mentioned, because when they mention it they have some guy's name which I can't recall, but they mention it because he's one of the guys that fell off. And when we look at this picture, it's something strange too, and there's tales that come out of this where you can see a man down here clinging onto a branch that's held off of here, and he's got an eagle there also right above him. You see that? It's kind of interesting. So here are all those Carthaginian Caucasians, and even one shown here in a blondish type hair. It almost looks like it's wearing an aegis, but it's not. And in these depictions down in here, you can see people that are fighting these horses and stuff. So there's a battle definitely going on here. If we go back up a little bit, we can look at these people that are ambushing them up on here and throwing rocks down on them, causing this horse, these people to act crazy, and this horse to back up, and he's fixing to go off too. You see that? Well, so let's look at this. Is Hannibal and his men and elephants crossing the Alps. Earlier in 220 BC, Hannibal's forces had conquered the Vettones tribe in Helmatica, present-day Salamanca in northwest Spain. According to a report in the Times, he was still bathing in the success of his victories when he returned to his winter headquarters in Cartagena, now modern-day Cartagena. Now, we wonder if names are still around, and I'm about to tell you that they are. For in modern-day Cartagena in southwest Spain, he was ambushed, but exactly where this occurred has been a point of debate among historians and archaeologists for over 2 centuries, with many sites proposed. Now you look at that Cartagena, and that's really just a Spanish form of the word Carthage. Yep, his name is put on there, but Hannibal Barca, where else is his name at? Well, there's this famous town that you know, the Olympics were held there once, Barcelona. Oh, you know it is Barcelona. Yeah. You ever seen that movie about Mars? Whatever is the warrior, and he goes to Mars and everything, and then when you check it out, it's all seems to be about this area, but they've got this weird stuff going on, what they call their names, and Barsoom and things. Strange, but those names actually correlate to things. Remember those weird blue eyes everybody had in that? There's a reason for that. Let's continue. Historical records identified the unknown location as being somewhere between the cities of Drebes and Ilana, on the banks of the Tagus River, not Tigris. And now, using geographical maps supported by archaeological digs, scientists have discovered the site. And this is pretty much it right here. And you can see remnants of a wall and things too. And there was tales that it happened down near a river, and all these things happened, and they have figured out that's it right there. Hannibal Rising. After this Iberian standoff, Hannibal's heightened standing in the military allowed him to take command of the upcoming wars, which would see his bold march on the Roman Empire with his 40 elephants via the treacherous Alps. The authors of the study say Hannibal utilized an ancient route connecting Caplitum and now Alca de Henares in the Madrid region to Carthago Nova, which is New Carthage, or is now Cartagena in Murcia, that crossed the Tagus River close to Drebes, not far from the Carpentani fortified settlement of Caraca. As in Caracas? The site of this famed battle between Hannibal and a 100,000 strong horde of vengeful Spanish tribesmen has been discovered by archaeologists on the banks of the Tagus River between Drebes and Ilana. In Guadalajara province, Hannibal is one of the most brilliant strategic war commanders of all time, and according to a report in Heiss, England, the archaeologists say it was his ability to process the rapidly unfolding events and formulate an effective response quickly that led to this crushing victory and here's repeated success. I just throw something in here real quick. About the time I was studying this, and I keep telling you something, things kept smacking me in the face. I was studying this stuff, and then all of a sudden I watched this old show. You might have heard of it or seen it before, and it was called Romancing the Stone. You ever seen it? It's kind of like an Indiana Jones kind of thing, but it's different. And the main character is Spartacus. It's his son, Michael Douglas. It's Kirk Douglas's son. He's an illegal poacher, pretty much, and selling stuff off through the black market. And this kind of ties in with this video I did recently where people were trying to smuggle Egyptian stuff in. But he was that type of guy, and then caught up into this whole idea and this treasure hunt and stuff like that that comes out in it. But that was at Cartagena, and she had to go to the Hotel Cartagena, and there's only one Hotel Cartagena, and so on, and it goes from there. So just in your face, pretty much. So this is a depiction of them fighting the Spanish here, and so they would have been the people that are on the horses, and you can tell they're all Caucasian Phoenician types. But you look at what would have been the Spanish at that time, and that doesn't quite look the Spanish that we think of today. Well, that's because things happened later, and once again, later than this, another thing happened of 700 AD. Basically, through that time, there was the Caucasian Berbers from North Africa there that aren't really the Carthaginians necessarily, attacked Spain also, and then the Arabs got in the middle of it, and they always try to tout it as they took over Europe or something, but all they ever got to was Spain. And in fact, right after they got kicked out, the New World was found. I've got a video about that coming out shortly too, but I say shortly, it might be a month before it comes out. I got a question for you. What kind of elephants did he use? I know it just sounds like a pat question because he's there in North Africa and everything, but the reality of it is he supposedly used Indian elephants from India. Yeah, in fact, that's what's depicted here, the short-eared version. You can see these guys here trying to hold it off with fire and everything. And of course, somebody's going to start shooting arrows into them, and they're about to go crazy. And whenever they do, they try to run through people and just start tearing stuff up, much like Lord of the Rings. But you can tell in the background here, it looks like the top castle that's on this one is falling off. And when those people hit the ground, it looks like there's a lot of people waiting for them. And all they're doing is attacking that elephant. And I hope that elephant doesn't turn on him and run right through him. He'll mow out those people, but if those guys fall down first. Anyhow, pretty colorful depiction here, though, and it's just one of those battle scenes where there's just too much going on, you know what I mean? So that's a depiction of Hannibal and the Carthaginians fighting the battle. Force of the Red Dragon. Archaeologists identified several features in the terrain that military historians say the general had used to his advantage. For example, he quickly calculated that his army was outnumbered approximately 4-1 by the unified Carpentani Vetone and Alcade tribes. He knew that an open battle would result in a bloodbath, and to prevent the enemy attacking in a mass wave, Hannibal tactically situated his troops so that the Spanish would be drawn across a natural choke point of that Tagus River, which effectively funneled 100,000 enemy soldiers into a relatively small and controllable slaughter zone on their way in. Hannibal had built a vast palisade already, running parallel to the river, so he had been there for a while. This wasn't like he showed up yesterday and they came out. He was building his little thing in there, and they come and attacked him. Right? It was running parallel to the river, which housed his prized war elephant, so it's pretty damn big. And the infantry, too, so oh my God, where it's a lot bigger than you're thinking of. A whole Fort Trite setup, yeah. While his highly trained cavalry manned the fords, these defensive strategies meant the Spaniards had to risk crossing the river, which could reach almost 6 foot deep, and with strong currents, or cross the fords and battle with the waiting cavalry. Choosing option B, after slowly wading away across the river and the fords, the natives were exhausted, only to be greeted by battalions of Hannibal's mounted troops who took shifts butchering the Spanish by their thousands. And though outnumbered by far, he won that battle easily and was still able to go on from there with a large enough army, he felt well, to take upon Rome. So, oh man, pitiful. Here's where they redid Hannibal, and they tried to make him out as a black man. I don't know. They tried to say he's African. Well, look at this guy behind him. He's a Carthaginian. Yeah, this makes no sense. It's like they're trying to give blacks a false history or something that's terrible. Here, let's just look what Hannibal Barca looked like here, just to be certain and show you what Hannibal Barca looked like. Yeah, he's a Caucasian, so he doesn't look anything like that. He looks like that. Yeah, there he looks like that. There he is. Still looks like that. What does he look like? Yep, still looks like that. Yep, still looks like that. Still looks like that. Like that. Here he is and colored up. That's the way he looks. Caucasians, definitely. There's no question about it. So why do they throw this in there? Look at there. Some people say that's Hannibal. Yet we all know Hannibal means beloved ball and the ball worshippers and everything that goes along with it, and that's just a false thing. Why would they do something like that? Who knows what their motives are, but many of us see it, and it's disgusting. So this is Hannibal Barca. And as I told you, Barcelona was written at him, but also Cartagena. I always thought that if I would go to Spain, I would tell somebody I must go to the Hotel Cartagena. Like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy. And we'll get on. Let's see if they find any artifacts or anything from it, but at least they seem to have found the battle where Carthage came up and began their trek to attack Rome. But that's a different video. Peace.